Well, as you can see, I am a man who is hands-on in his duties within the Ministry of Labor and both the war effort. I've been, myself and several members of the CAD, specifically me at the moment, because the CAD is currently undergoing reforms, have been hard at work in the mines underneath Berlin, gathering resources such as coal, platinum, gold, to help pay off the debt that is owed by the general government to the royal household. I myself have contributed a vast number of funds as well as gold to ensure that the royal household is properly compensated in its duties and in its debts owed by the federal government. And I hope that everything I have done to ensure that that debt has been paid off through my actions is firmly replicated by my ministers, including the Ministry of War, for example.
Good afternoon. I am Leading State Secretary of the Ministry of War, Arthur Eskenbach. It's been brought to my attention that the nation owes a debt to the office of the sovereign. This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. I think that we, the imperial government, and the rest of the nation should have never put ourselves in this absolutely vulnerable position. This debt should be paid immediately. The Ministry of War has already made a sizable donation, or payment to the Office of the Sovereign. 1,400,000 Deutsches Marks. Quite a number. A number you don't see from people like the Ministry of the Procurements.
You know, the Ministry of Procurements has done everything they can to get this paid. There is a meeting today happening at the Federal Council. The Emperor will be present, and I really hope every other ministry has actually contributed and did their part to pay back the Emperor.
Is there any ministry?
If we don't have all that money, then long live the Emperor, and may all of us die for failing the Emperor.
Is there any ministry that you're specifically worried about? You think they might not be able to come up with the money?
Right now, the Ministry of Aviation so far hasn't paid a penny. So I'm a little worried about that.
Procurement said that he's worried that you guys haven't paid anything at all. Can you just give a little comment about that?
We've already paid 100,000, which is from my personal pockets, because my ministry, as I've been aware, hasn't been paid a single Deutsch. Despite this, I've managed to get 100,000 to pay, and that's documented with the Royal Treasurer.
Where did I put those ledgers? Where could they be? Where could all the building deeds be? Surely there was more left to me than this. Oh, the Crown must have their money, and I will get it to them. I will figure out where to get this money from. That's it. I will go to every business owner and I will make sure their taxes are due. I will send people to work in the mines. That's it. I'll have to talk to the Grand Duke about getting mining licenses. Oh, why couldn't the last MOF have been more useful instead of hanging around, doing nothing, and leaving me with nothing? Oh boy. The money will be found, and it will be sent. Hopefully, just hopefully, the Ministry of Science can have better luck.
So, the science ministry, we're doing all that we possibly can to help pay off this debt. Although our finances are not allowed to be publicized, just know the science ministry, we've been doing all that we possibly can. Though, I'd love to see how the Interior Minister plans to pay off his part of the debt.
The Ministry of Interior, the Ordnance Marshal himself, rolled into a meeting. He rolled into a meeting, and he got out of his chair, stood up for the first time. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen him stand up in so long. He stood up. He paid the Royal Treasurer about 3 million Deutschmarks, and then the ordnance marshal said "fuck you" to the royal treasurer and walked out. So the royal treasurer, you know, decided in his very high stature and authority vested with him in, he decided that $3 million was not going to go towards the debt, and that was just a charitable donation towards the crown. Ave to the royal treasurer. Long live the emperor. Ave.
Reports that the Ministry of the Interior paid you $3 million, but he allegedly insulted you, and you said it wouldn't be counted towards the debt. Can you comment on that situation?
Well, what happened is pretty clear. The individual in question came into the right office within the bank, and he came in. He immediately said, "Fuck you." I was flabbergasted. He, to my surprise, then handed me a very large sum. Then I intended to give him the bill of reception, which goes for any and all debt-related payments. He said "fuck you" again and stepped out. Considering I can't really ascertain if that was for the debt or not, I guess that was a donation, I suppose.
But I was hearing things regarding you and the Royal Treasurer. The Royal Treasurer said in an interview for the Truth Ministry that you, quote, said "fuck you" to him as you were paying the $3 million, and then he, allegedly disavowed that $3 million. Do you have a comment on that, sir? Just
I was
for
on a
posterity.
field bender and I lost my mind. I got very upset and I said some things that I do regret.
And with that, the moment had finally arrived. After days of uncertainty and hours spent following the ministers as they prepared to answer to the crown, the debt payment meeting was set to begin. Unfortunately, this is where our cameras had to stop. No cameras or microphones were permitted inside the chamber. What you will be seeing instead is a courtroom-style sketch created from eyewitness accounts of those who attended the meeting. Our team was also able to obtain several direct quotations attributed to His Imperial Majesty. For this documentary, those remarks have been recreated by what many regard as the finest voice actor in the realm, Terrence Sparrow.
You know, words are being thrown about in this room. The words "donate" came out of many of your mouths. Who here believes they donated the most amount of money?
As the Emperor spoke these words, the room fell silent with bated breath. No one dare answer in the affirmative to such a question. For how could they donate to a debt? A debt is not donated. It is paid. Money that you owe and pay towards can never be a donation, especially when that money is owed to the crown. The Emperor made that point clear, that anyone discussing donations in the context of the debt to the crown was wrong. Following that, he moved on to the matter of the debt itself.
Now, gentlemen, we arrive to the matter of this money. And what was the number that I asked for? 7.5 million marks. And I've heard you've done it, so it would seem, according at least to your internal receipts.
According to officials present inside the chamber, the first major revelation stunned everyone. The ministries had not only paid their debt, they had paid far more than what was demanded. The crown expected roughly 7 million Deutschmarks in outstanding debt. Instead, the ministries collectively delivered approximately 14.5 million Deutschmarks, more than double the amount owed. Witnesses say the emperor sharply criticized the ministries for appearing to have possessed such a large amount, but still allowing themselves to fall into debt in the first place. The proceedings then turned to each ministry's individual contribution. Among them, the Ministry of Aviation stood out for contributing the smallest payment of the group, 100,000 Deutschmarks. Despite the criticism and the tense atmosphere, the meeting concluded without further action. Every ministry present had paid its debts, except for one who was not present. Notably absent from the proceedings was the Ministry of Truth. Following the execution of Minister Jack Rolworth the previous day, none of the money paid back to the Crown came from the coffers of the Truth Ministry. Now, friends, you should know that the late Minister of Truth, Jack Rolworth, reportedly responded to the Crown's demand for repayment by saying, "This is a disgrace. Having us pay for this when we already funded the Emperor's Palace in Summerhall is ridiculous." Well, unfortunately for Mr. Rolworth, the imperial justice system continues to maintain its long-standing policy of talk shit, get fucking hanged. Meanwhile, the Minister of the Interior managed to survive his own encounter with the Royal Treasurer despite reportedly ending the payment by yelling, "Fuck you." Now, naturally, we asked the Minister of the Interior why he thought screaming obscenities at the man collecting money on behalf of the Emperor was an appropriate financial strategy. His response, as you've already seen, was, "I was on a cocaine-fueled bender." Naturally, we can then surmise that the Minister of the Interior's comments were induced by that world-famous Colombian snow dust. But what made Jack Rolworth speak out of turn? For that, the Minister of the Interior provides us with another inside scoop.
Let me hand you this document. Now, this was Jack Rolworth in his last moments. If you have a look at this, you can deduce what's going on, and you can deduce whose office that was, whose wheelchair that was, and what's on the desk, and that's all I'll say on the matter.
Well, based on the photo, the comments made by both ministers, and the explanation given by the Minister of the Interior, it is clear that both individuals were lining their sinuses with Hannah Montana. It's clear that the Minister of the Interior asked Jack Rolworth, "Do you want to build a snowman?" And Jack responded with, "Well, I do love Christmas time." As you can see from this photo, Jack stands just inches away from mountains of cocaine in the Minister of the Interior's office. And just to make sure that Jack wasn't lonely, we can also see the Interior Minister's wheelchair clear as day. Unfortunately, the man who's supposed to be in the wheelchair isn't in it. Obviously, we can surmise that he's fallen out of the chair, snarling on the ground, coked out of his fucking mind. Remember, kids, don't do drugs. It must also be reported that following a private discussion with the Minister of the Interior and the Royal Treasurer, the 3 million Deutschmarks paid by the MOI was accepted by the Royal Treasurer and put towards the debt. But perhaps the biggest mystery wasn't what the ministries paid. It was how they managed to pay more than twice what they owed. Was it intentional? Did the ministers knowingly overpay, or was there something else happening behind the scenes? To answer those questions, we turn now to the Royal Treasurer, the official responsible for receiving the payments and perhaps the only person who can explain how a 7 million Deutschmark debt became a 14.5 million Deutschmark windfall for the Crown.
And bar 233. God. Gathering all the payments was difficult. Even the Justice Minister tried to track the payments. Good I never told anyone how much they paid and made payments in privacy. God bless Crown confidentiality. Probably gonna build that bungalow for Hendrik and Lübeck. I might also enjoy the beaches.